The first thing you're going to do is cut out your pieces of fabric. The long side right here, which is going to get folded in half, that's going to be 15.5 inches, or 15 is fine as well. And then the short side is going to be about 10.5 to 11 inches, depending on how you can get all your fabric out. Thank you, Tyler, but no thank you. Now, if you do have a pattern of your fabric, you want to make sure that it is going, because it's going to get folded like this, and this is how your mask is going to be. So you want to make sure that you have a direction. Is now that I've pressed my seam opened, I'm going to sew straight down here and then straight down here so that the seam stays down. This is creating the pocket. All right, this does get a little confusing, and you're going to see why in a second. You're going to sew, and then I'm going to get to a point where I can't keep the fabric going this way. And then all I have to do here is turn it inside out, and now I can get to the rest of my fabric. All right. And now the original pattern, I think it said to like stop and start over. What I like to do is I like to pivot. So I'm actually never stopping sewing, and pivot. And now I'm just going to go down the next side. All right. And all I'm doing is sewing this seam down. I'm top stitching just so that that seam doesn't flap open for the pocket. Okay. And I do that to the end. Okay, you can stop. Next, you want to fold it. So now the pocket is here, and now I want to fold it slightly down so that it's going to be on the inside. So I see no pocket here, but I see a pocket here. And now if you, this fabric really doesn't have much of a direction because it kind of goes any which way, but you want to make sure that at least one side is the side that can be on the outside. And now all I'm going to do is fold this down and give this a nice press. Okay. The next step is we're going to top stitch right down here, creating a casing for the wire to go through, and then we're going to top stitch. So now all we're going to do is we are going to top stitch down so that this pocket is going to stay opened. Okay, so we're not going to sew this down. We're just sewing this flap down. So now this is going to be the casing for the wire that's going to go in. Okay, and the thinner the wire, the better. When I first started making them, I used a little bit thicker wire, and I'm not happy with them. They come out in the wash and they hurt the nose. So we just top stitch right there. Okay, so we have a nice straight top stitch there. That's now created a casing. And now we're going to top stitch down here so it doesn't flap while you're wearing it. Okay. Okay, so now we have this both top stitched. The next step is going to be the pleats. Pause it. I have the pocket here. This is the inside of the mask. The outside of the mask is here. I always like to start with the inside of the mask facing up, and all I'm going to do is little pleats. If you really wanted to, you could make markings. 3 to 4 pleats is all you really need. I've been putting 3 pleats in mine. So I kind of pinch this up towards the pocket, and I have my first. At this point, I kind of go over here and I see, are they even? They're roughly about 1 inch. All right, and now all I have to do is fold down. One thing that I have found, don't let them overlap in the back, because then it gets too thick and you can't get your machine over. Because don't forget, you're going to have to fold over your ends then, and then sew over it. So right now, you're talking 4 layers of thickness. You don't want any more than that. So as you can see, like none of my pleats are overlapping. So then after this, of course, we have to press our fabric, and then all we're going to do is sew both sides. We're going to sew right down here and right down here. Next thing that you're going to do, I just sew straight down about 1/4 inch. All right. And this is just to hold it down. This isn't what's going to secure anything to it. You're going to see the next step that I do, I'm going to use on the serger after we insert the wire. But if you don't have a serger at home, that is fine. You can do a nice zigzag stitch, and it holds it really nice. So now we're going to sew straight down here. And what I like to do here, even though I have the serger has been getting kind of a beating with how many masks I'm making. So I don't like the blade to have to cut any more fabric. So I do a nice trim because after making so many of them, some of the fabric is fraying at this point. So do all your trimmings. And now we are going to insert, keep it on there. We're going to insert the wire. The wire, you really don't want any bigger than the actual mask itself. You don't want anything hanging over. So all we're going to do is take our wire, okay, and insert it. Most of the wire that I've been doing is about 9 inches, 9.5 inches. And so now we have both of our ends. At this point, if you don't have a serger, what I would recommend, folding it over about 1/2 inch, and then you're gonna zigzag right on top. I have a serger, so what you're gonna see me do, okay, making sure that my wire isn't sticking out anywhere, and I am going to serge the ends. This is just so that nothing frays, because these are going to get washed quite a few times and you don't want any of the ends to start to fray on you. All right, you're going to trim this up, and now we're going to sew over top of it. Now again, if you didn't have a serger at this point, you would just fold to the inside and you would be doing a zigzag stitch. Since I do have a serger, or you could have just zigzagged them right now, but now what we're going to do, we're going to fold this over about 1/2 inch, okay, to the back side, to the side with the pocket. And all you're going to do here, okay, is you're going to make sure it's secured. So I'm talking back stitch, okay? We're back stitching quite a lot there. We're going to go down here. We're going to back stitch some more, okay, because that's where all the pressure is going to be, because that's where the elastic. So right now we're making another casing. Just like we did for pajama pants where the elastic goes through, we're making a casing here. The original pattern had a, called for bias tape, but I was finding that was taking, it looked beautiful, but it was taking way too long to get any of them done. So we kind of altered it up slightly, and we went with just a fold over, okay? And again, you definitely want to back stitch and then go to the end and back stitch again. All right, the next thing you want to do, I'm using 1/8 inch elastic here. I'm going to put the 1/8 inch elastic on my safety pin, make sure it's a heavy duty one. I was originally cutting them about 9.5 inches. I kind of went up to about 10 because if men are wearing them, the main difference between a men's size for this pattern and a woman's is the amount of elastic. It's the space between your mouth and your ear. So it always helps go on the bottom of the mask to go up, because that way there's no folds to interfere in it. And you're just going to shimmy that straight up. And then you can take the elastic off. You're going to do the exact same thing down here. You're going to put the safety pin straight through, elastic in. And now at this point, these are adjustable. Whoever that you're making them for can undo the knot and make it smaller, make it bigger, as long as you have the original, like a 10 inch in there. And then you can just kind of hide that knot and slide it in. And then you're going to do the exact same thing over here. Okay, and if you wanted to make any of the ear saver ones where it goes around the head, all you would do is keep it on one big one. And at that point, you would almost have to do about 20 inches grand total or bigger and put it straight through, and you're just tying one knot. So it would just be kind of broken up. Okay, so hide the knots then. And now you have a face mask that will open up, and this up here, the wire will bend to fit your face. And this is what the finished product looks like.